Hello everyone, welcome to the 8th episode of Affogato with Ananya, and today we will talk only about general surgery in AGMC. So please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Priya Ashok, first year general surgery resident at AGMC.
From where you did your MBBS?
I did my undergraduation from Ramaya Medical College in Bangalore.
In your department, how many faculties are there?
We have our head of department, we have 2 professors, we have 6 associate professors, assistant professors, and we have a total of 11 senior residents.
Alright. How many PG seats are there in each academic year?
Total of 9 PG seats.
9 PG seats. Out of them, how many are all India and how many are state quotas?
5 are from all India and 4 are from the state.
Thank you. Thank you. Instead of affogato, we are trying the mocktails. Cheers. Cheers. So Priya, tell me, how has been your journey so far?
It's been quite a ride, I should say. Almost finished 14 months into residency. So there's this aspect where you're learning about yourself each day, you're learning about the subject each day, you're learning skills each day, and at the same time you're learning ward works, procedures, OPD based stuff. So every day you're learning something or the other.
How a day of a surgery resident looks like?
I should say it goes quite hectic. I start my day at around 8 a.m. where I first go to the wards, finish the ward works, which is basically before the rounds, and then the OPD starts by around 9 a.m. My rounds on the admission day starts at around 10 o'clock. So once that is done, then we're busy with the OPD itself till around say 4 to 4:30, and then following that we start seeing the patients who come from emergency and then also from trauma. So that happens, and this goes on for a period of 24 hours till the post-start day. Post-start day, we start scheduling all our emergency OT patients, do all the pre-op work for the patients who are scheduled for the OT day, and that's how it goes on. And then the post-start day also gets hectic because of that. And then the OT day, we have this whole list of patients who are ready, prepped for OT. OT day begins the OT starts at around 9 o'clock and then it gets over by around 4:30, depending on the load, major OT and minor OT. And then the rounds part of it, so one set of rounds happens in the morning with our consultants and the whole unit coming together. Then you have rounds in the evening, which is, let's say, starts at around 6:30 because our investigations come at around that time. So then the follow-up happens in the evening rounds. So ward may admission, in the male ward, major chunk of it gets occupied by patients who get diagnosed with pancreatitis. Some of them we have cholecystitis patients who do come. Most of them, let's say, bring it under acute abdomen, right? And you can have patients who come in with obstruction, who come in with perforation, and then you also have patients who have bleed per rectum. They can come in with malignancies who then get worked up, and accordingly we plan for the further course of action. A lot of patients come in with obstructive jaundice to the wards. We do have patients who come in from trauma. So first they land up in trauma, get evaluated. If they need emergency OT, then we take them up to the OT. Otherwise, then they get shifted to the ward. And you have patients who come in with peripheral vascular disease. A lot of patients who come in with a lot of abscesses in different sites. Yeah, and as far as the female ward is concerned, again, acute abdomen, plenty of them. Now they can be cholecystitis patients who comes, obstructive jaundice. A lot of patients come in with breast conditions, breast malignancies, bowel malignancies as well, and carcinomas of the gallbladder or cholangiocarcinoma. That with obstructive jaundice they get evaluated, and that goes on further.
So you get plethora of cases, like all the cases you've come across in the Bailey and Love and all those Bibles of surgery. Am I right?
We do get a good number of cases.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of exaggeration. So tell me, why you took up surgery?
This dates back to first year of med school. So anatomy was something I fell in love with, and more specifically dissection. And then the part came where it was internship. And to be frank, I was confused between medicine and surgery during internship. There was this whole aspect where outside of the OT you have patients in the ward, then you have the aspect where you're in the OT and then you're seeing things happening, and then there is the post-op follow-up. And I love this whole thing. So I was like, okay, it's surgery.
Okay. So I have a question for you. Since lot of cases of violence against doctor has been increasing, and in this NEET PG results we can see that the proportion of doctors opting for surgical branches has decreased a lot. So I want to ask you, have you faced any kind of violence or any kind of discomfort during your tenure?
So there have been a couple of instances where yes, I have felt unsafe at the workplace. The scenarios are either where patients are brought in a very critical state, and then with limited resources we have to manage them at that stage, and the other aspect is during odd hours at night you have patients that are being brought in with a lot of attenders who tend to end up being drunk, and it's not even a state where you are counseling them and they're in a state to accept what is happening. Most of it also depends upon how the security functions at the hospitals. This is not just here at our place in AGMC, it is pan India where instances are happening and security is not enough, and that is the reason why we have been time and again putting forth the demand of Central Protection Act, so that we all feel safe, because workplace security and safety is something which is again a basic right, and
Basic
it's
human
still
right.
not being implemented, which is really sad.
And
So,
really unfortunate. And
this
time and
is-
time we have been demanding, but somehow it gets stuck.
one instance happens, we all fight, then it's just buried down. Then another instance has to happen where everything rises up again, and then it's all silence. So
The scenario is happening now. The doctors, Indian doctors, are leaving to practice in other countries.
there is a brain drain of lot of talented
happening.
doctors going abroad.
So India is losing lot of talented doctors. So ni Malayali, I don't know.
Yes, very much a Malayalam speaking person, but brought up in Bangalore. So yes, fair share of also being a Kannadiga, I should say.
So how has been your experience so far in Tripura?
Been good, I should say. As far as language as a barrier is concerned, the first 1.5 month, yes, it was quite much of a trouble, because rounds and patient communication was an issue. I did have my basics with Hindi. I sort of caught up on the language part of it. Here the Bengali is spoken, and then there's also Kokborok, which bits and pieces of it I had to learn. But yeah, there was one senior who did suggest learn what is relevant to your specialty. So I started learning it that way.
Then what about food?
Food wasn't much of an issue, I should say. We do have Zomato and Swiggy working over here to order, and I started cooking as well. Yeah, fair share of cooking with you and my co-PGs and couple of friends around. We do have people who sort of send in dabbas every day for breakfast and lunch. So if you're a non-vegetarian, then you tend to get adjusted.
So Priya, tell me about the academics in your department.
We have seminars, let's say at the frequency of around 2 per week, where there is clinical case presentations, you have journal club presentation, or it can be a topic which is given, and then we make presentations and discussions happen about that. Rounds as such, I should say that there's not a lot of discussion going on. It's about just that patient update, and then what is the plan next.
So Priya, tell me about your hobbies.
I have plenty of them. I love reading books. I love going for morning walks. Also into writing and journaling. I love teaching. I am a core member of the White Army, which is a medical platform. We're there on YouTube and Instagram, Telegram. Oh, wait. There's a lot more things I'd like to add over here, okay? I love traveling. I love photography as well. And there's this part where I love meeting people and then communicating a lot. I am a chatterbox. Right?
Okay.
So, I know all these are part of my hobbies, man.
Right. Very much like me only, that's why we get along. Priya, tell me what are the points one must keep in mind before taking up general surgery as their branch?
First thing is, general surgery residency is not all about surgery itself. Alright, so most candidates who opt for surgery have this in mind. The adrenaline rush comes from the OT alone, and they start expecting only OT related exposure. So I just like to mention here ki 20 to 30% of your work hours will be concerning the OT or will be inside the OT. And of course, there is the skill-based part that you do learn in the OTs and as well as the wards where you sort of implement it. But this is the majority part that you should be aware of before taking general surgery. The other thing is that you should be open to learning every day. Every day you make tiny mistakes, you start learning from them. Either it can be in the ward rounds, it can be with respect to a patient follow-up, it can be just discussing something with your senior, you start realizing ki like, acha, theek hai, this is something that has gone wrong here, I should have done it in a different way. But the art lies in the fact that you have realized that this is a mistake, and then you're sort of learning in order to correct that.
So tell me about the workshops and opportunities to go outside the state in terms of conferences.
Every year we have one state conference, one national conference that happens. That is something that first year, second year, third year PGs, all of us are attending. And then the national conference, only third years attend that conference. And then we have these monthly CMEs that happen from time to time. So that's pretty much about it.
So Priya, you have done your UG from Karnataka,
Yeah.
from Ramya Medical College, which is a private medical college. So
Yeah.
how would you like to compare overall medical education and work ethics and everything in terms of infrastructure?
Well, so let me say that the transition from a private background to a government setup was pretty much of a big deal for me. It took around, let's say, 1 to 1.5 months to get adapted to this whole thing. Quite a resource-rich setting, and opposed to this, with you're functioning with a limited set of resources, right? And the patient inflow, again, we have a limited set of patients there. In this case, it's overflowing, it's bustling. If you have 26 beds in one ward, there are on floor admissions that keep happening from time to time, nothing new about it. So yeah, this bit I had to get adapted to that. And a lot of work that happens over here, it is more doctor dependent, right? So right from you sending the investigations, following it up, getting the reports, all of this, ensuring that the medications are given on time, to writing the medications down, everything, is something that you will have to do.
Priya, tell me about the surgical exposure in residency in this college.
Very important question. If the exposure is concerned and the hands-on is concerned, I'd like to split up this answer. Have the emergency OTs and then you have the elective OTs, right? Elective OT days will be 2 in a week. In that, our unit on an average does around 10 cases. So either we do a open ya laparoscopy cholecystectomy, CBD choledoco lithotomies that happen. A couple of breast cases, we do MRMs or total mastectomies, and we operate on fibroadenomas. Also have limited number of, say, rectal prolapse cases that come in for surgeries. Hernias, appendectomies come in, and anal fissures and the hemorrhoid cases that also do come in for OT. So this forms a part of our elective schedule. And in addition to that, let us say circumcision under TIVA or hydrocele, these cases, or herniatomy in kids, these are the common ones. And emergency OT, on the other hand, lot of exploratory laparotomy happens. The patients can come in from trauma with hemoperitoneum for different reasons. And you also have hollow viscous perforation, bowel obstruction, obstructed hernia that gets operated upon. We have a lot of SRs over here, and 9 PGs are also there, right? So it's like 3 in every unit, every batch. So yeah, that way it does get limited, but at the end of 3 years, you can get confident about your tissue handling pretty well. Emergency OTs, people learn how to do that pretty well. Elective OTs also to a great extent, yeah. With the set that is available over here, people do learn, like my seniors have actually learned. So that is there. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about toxicity. Is there any toxicity in the department?
This is a hot topic. Yeah. No, my department is not toxic. This is straightforward. No, it's not. One thing I'd like to clarify over here is there is this concept of people being toxic for personal reasons, and then when the workload is there, yes, things get heated up, but it is not personal toxicity or anything. So that is chill.
Toxicity basically happens because of a lot of confusion and communication gap. So make sure that you are not keeping any communication gap. And we have not, like, twinning. It's just a coincidence,
Yeah, actually it's not planned.
So yeah.
Yeah.
अपनी lens
Work है वो शायद.
ये वाला बहुत funny हुआ, हमने पूरा बोल के record भी नहीं किया. खैर छोड़. So Priya, a lot of your future juniors might be watching this video. So what advice you would like to give to your future juniors?
Nice question. First, let's start with this. On your case sheet as interns, you have written patient is conscious, oriented to time, place and person. Kindly take the first 2 to 3 weeks of your joining to get oriented to the people you're going to work with, that is your department, to the place where you're working with, wards, OTs, whatever it is, OPDs, get oriented to all of this, and then the kind of work that you're going to be doing. And don't be in a hurry to learn everything on day 1 in the first week, because eventually that will only lead to burnout by you putting pressure on yourself more and more. So
then you will end up in psychiatry department. They counseling from me. Our momos have come and we're going to curb it. So do you get leaves?
See, I believe NMC has said that there are 20 leaves allowed in 1 year. As being an all India candidate, what I do is aggregate 10 together, go home in one half, and then another 10 together and go home in the second half. But I should mention one thing, that when it comes to sick leaves, like my department has been very liberal. So every time someone's not feeling well, nobody forces you to come to work. So that bit of consideration is always there.
So, well, sadly, we have come to an end of this really fun, let's say, chit chat, informative session. Yeah, I would like to thank ma'am very, very much for this wonderful opportunity of having me on her platform. I hope it does answer most of the queries and questions out there. This was a really, really fun session. And do end up subscribing and liking the channel. Any queries you guys have, feel free to post it on the comment section, and ma'am will answer. I will reply to it if it's specific to general surgery. Yeah, cheers guys.
Hello.